We're here today with an amazing gentleman, leadership, cultural builder, transformational leader, Dr. Anil Khandelwal. Welcome.
Thank you,
welcome,
Dr. Reis.
Welcome.
What a pleasure meeting you.
Honored to be here, sir. Aside from writing some bestsellers, aside from growing up with humble beginnings, aside from being a systems thinker for large organizations as well as personal growth, I wonder what motivated you to go from chemical engineering into banking into a world voice and leadership?
Well, that's a good question to begin with, Dr. H. Well, you don't know what is in store for you in life when you begin. A person like me who started his life in a middle class family, there were hardly few choices. There were no coaches, guides. My father was not even matriculate, and everything was on its own. So at that time, after doing my graduation, the trend was that either do engineering or medical or this or that. I was led into engineering, but I don't think I was ever cut out for that. I soon discovered when I went to engineering, but you can't let down your people. So I completed, and then I decided what to do, because there's been something in me that does not fit into, if something does not fit into my system, I abandon it early rather than suffering. So I didn't pursue engineering. I came to my maternal uncle's place in Jaipur and pursued MBA. And during MBA, I found a job opportunity at that time. It was a fairly good one as a direct officer in a large bank, Bank of Baroda. It was almost cast next door to our house. So I just went as a young lad of 23-year-old, and I didn't know.
You had your MBA by 23? You had your MBA already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing actually in Jaipur itself.
Okay.
And I found a job, so I negotiated that I'll appear in my exam and all that. When I went to bank, I didn't know ABCD of banking. Frankly, I didn't like accounting at all.
Chemical engineering and accounting and HR.
But the banks, they are a very fast organization, and at that time, they had a very difficult environment, difficult industrial relations environment in the bank. Customers were not looked after. There was a chaos in the branch I was posted. And I didn't know what to do. I was soon quite disappointed, disillusioned, no training, nothing.
No
and
support?
I'm supposed to be head of a function. So I learned a little bit of banking from the clerks who were reporting to me. It was a kind of a reverse mentoring. Those days, these jargons were not there. And I have always been a learner. Anyway, I soon took up with the bank that I'm not trained and I'm not given any formal training, and I don't think I'll survive. There was a good head of human resource function who offered me, in terms of my MBA, to come to HR function through a separate recruitment and interview, and I was selected. And since then, I never looked back. And I loved this function because I found at that point of time, maximum problem in banking industry was people related, trade unions problem, agitations, and post-nationalization period. Banks were nationalized. 1969, I joined in 71. There was turmoil in the sector. And I found a good place to engage with human function, and I found it very transformational in content. So that is where it became. And later, I changed the bank, went to a small private sector bank for career for a very small period. I was head of HR function there. And then again I changed, came back to Bank of Baroda by sheer luck. This time in their staff college at Ahmedabad. as a senior core faculty in the HR area where I was supposed to do some research. Fortunately for me, country's most prestigious management institute, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, it was there. And I started visiting them and identified an icon in the field of industrial relations who registered me for PhD. And I did my PhD under him. And those were the days I was, you can say, trying to really unfold my potential. And I discovered that I had a lot of talent for training and management development. And after that, 13 years in training function, where I started writing articles, books, and I thought I'll end up here. But then, a strange conspiracy of circumstances that a newly appointed chairman of the bank visited staff college, and he said, "You must come to mainstream." I landed in Bombay,
Yes.
first in HR. After he went away, the new chairman said, "You should go to banking." I said, "Sir, I don't like banking." My first interaction with banking was not good. And I have no talent for routine, I told him.
Routine.
And then I said that it would be risky because now I am deputy general manager. I go to head a zone. And if I don't know the banking itself, how do I survive? It's very risk. It's a great risk a bank will be taking. He told me, if you can do PhD, I'm sure you can learn banking.
What was your dissertation or your PhD area of study? Was it business, what, management?
Industrial relations, union management relations in banks and in my own bank. Because why they are so messy in such a great bank? How is it that the average bank manager is feeling so strangulated by the union problems and their branches that they are not able to excel, that they are not able to do the business they could do. And this was in my mind, that I will solve this problem if I become somebody. I will I always believe. I think so. Engineering has not gone waste. It gave me training of mind. Only the branch changed for me from chemical to human engineering. Only the branch changed, and it gave me discipline to diagnose a problem and solve a problem, and also gave me a mindset which is process mindset. Why people behave the way they behave? Why unions are becoming so difficult? Is it all because they are like that? What is our contribution as management in creating that reality? So I think that diagnostic mindset, that process mindset, and then I discovered leaders actually are supposed to create results very fast. In the processes sometimes are kept aside or don't get that much attention. So my mind was shaping at that time as like a doctor diagnosis and problem solving. Not merely that you go as a patient, you write a medicine. Yes, I know. I have 30 years experience in this field. You have a fever, take this. No. People may have same problem. The diagnosis may reveal different causes. So my mind was very set on diagnostic frame of reference in organizational problem solving.
The word diagnosis comes from the Greek, and it's through the knowledge, where you gather all of the pieces together.
Yes.
And a good engineer is able to look at the whole system.
Absolutely.
Not just this piece,
So
and then the relationships between the system. So you can apply the engineering thing also to human relations?
Yeah. Okay. So I think that helped me a great deal in terms of shaping of my life, training of my mind, and process orientation.
And systems thinking.
And systems
thinking. Interesting.
And I can tell you there are lots of people subsequently I discovered who came to field of behavioral science and HR from engineering field.
So in your best-selling book, Dare to Lead, you talk about culture, creating communication, culture. When I hear the word culture, my mind first goes to in a little petri dish and some nutrients, you can grow something. That's a
Yeah.
culture, right?
Yes, yes.
But also the human culture, very complex, and yet some very simple rules.
Absolutely.
What are some of the simple things that transform a culture?
Well, as you rightly said, it's an organic process, first of all. You can't go and implant culture of one organization into another organization. You can't plant one leadership style from one context to another context. But universal principles remain the same. Universal principles are that, again, diagnostic framework of culture. What is causing what? How things normally happen in this organization or any organization, why they happen. There are no set rules. In one organization, they may happen because of X, Y, Z. In another organization, it can happen because of A, B, C. But the process remains the same of diagnosis. Once you have diagnosed that, then you start looking for interventions, how to correct. To give you an example, when I took over as chairman and managing director of Bank of Baroda, about which I have written this book, it is a great bank. Is a history of performance and people. And yet, after achieving that position, it started somewhere between 2000 to 2004 sliding on all parameters. I was an insider. I was number two. I knew exactly what is the problem. But there are things you can do, and I took number of initiatives to tighten, improve, and create a new model of union management relations and staff management. But there were things beyond my control that only CEO can do. The support mechanism, for example, when I was bringing about a lot of change, there were turbulence, again from the trade unions, targeting me. At that time, I needed support, but that's a long story. People should read in Dare to
Read the
Lead.
book.
So I did make that contribution, but business was coming down. When you transform, that was the time private banks had come into India, technology was coming, and everything was stalled in the bank because of internal problem. That is the time I become chairman. And from the day one, I knew that unless I engage 40,000 staff in architecting a new vision, the solo effort will evaporate like ether on the palm. I need to engage in my philosophy as well as training in human resource, reinforce this conviction. And therefore, I went around the bank and the first 3 months met 20% staff of the bank.
40,000 people, you met 20%.
20%.
Wow.
8,000 people.
8,000 of that, yeah.
And I made sure that I shook hands with every one of them. So my meetings were planned in terms of time, that I get time to shake hands with everyone. It matters a great deal when you look into the eyes of people, shake hands. A number of people told me they had never seen the face of their chairman. People are essentially emotional. When I presented to them the problems the currently bank is facing in its existence, some of them cried. Why? He said, we didn't know.
He actually knows me.
We don't know the bank is facing this kind of problem. We will give our life. Tell us what to do. That was the turning point. But more than that, I had gone, this was not a talking forum for me. Most CEOs go, they start giving sermons. We should do this, we should do that, our organization should do that. It is all about people. No, even when I was on the other side, I didn't like these sermons. So I declared this is a listening forum for me. This is not a speaking forum for me. And I would listen as to what exactly you feel the problem bank is undergoing and how we can tell me 3 things I can do to lift it up immediately. I developed my agenda for change from the grassroots. Meetings after meetings, I got 3 signals. One, that there is a huge delays in decision making, especially business decision making. When proposals are sent to corporate office for taking decisions, there are multiple tiers, multiple levels, and decisions are delayed. And in a market economy, in competition, other banks take away the business. I very deeply appreciated that feedback. I knew part of it, but when it comes to people, you know, you get the granular side of the problem. They gave me a number of examples, real examples, that how competitor banks have better policy in business on this side compared to us. We brought about policy changes. Second thing that they told me was about the human resource policies, which they found very discriminating. Because, as I told you, there were dominance of trade unions, and at corporate level, they were able to influence policies in favor of people they liked, or they're activists or the people they like, especially in officers' cadre, unfortunately. So I introduced systems. For example, we have a great number of foreign branches, and everyone craved to go to foreign branch. Earlier, it was a pick and choose policy. I introduced a written test, an interview, so anybody could go there. I think what I did was a very fast implementation of the issues raised by people down below. But they also watch you. That have I come there only for sermonization or for actually engage them? And third problem that they told me was that the bank is lagging behind in technology. Most banks had started core banking, that means anytime, anywhere banking. I'm talking 2005. Today we are in a different, and they were very concerned. And in our bank, it was stalled again due to corporate problems and other things. All 3 things we went about implementing very fast. In fact, this became credo of my job role for next 3 years. And rest is given in this book.
Yes. So I fell in love with systems thinking thanks to 2 books. One was a book of family systems called Generations to Generations, and the other was from MIT, Peter Senge, who wrote the book called The Fifth Discipline.
Absolutely. I'm his great fan.
You're a great
Fifth
fan.
Discipline.
I'm a great fan. And the disciplines are the vision. The leader has to have a vision. Committees don't have visions. The leader has to build that vision team. The leader has to push power to the edges. You can't have 38 levels of hierarchy in a guerrilla war if you're going to have transformation. Absolutely. And then the whole systems thinking. It's not what the system is, it's what the system does, was one of my favorite quotes from Peter Senge. But it seems to me that having a chemical engineering background, working in HR, and then looking at giant systems and listening, the leader has to be different than the way we're being trained to be corporate leaders today. I like to say that if you're going to make transformation during chaotic times, you have to know their hurt and they have to know your heart.
Absolutely.
You
well
have to
said.
know their hurt. So it seems like you took that giant big picture gestalt approach to a very complex, interrelated thing, but instituted some simple things. And it started with listening?
I should tell you, first of all, how the whole system was moved. I imagined the system as moving a large flywheel, putting lot of effort
Okay.
and slowly making people join in moving that large flywheel. 30 million customers, 40,000 employees, huge agenda for change. So our change agenda was like carpet bombing. It was because I had only 3 years. I'm not a private sector where I can stay. Only 3 years to go. Government bank,
Yeah.
open to public scrutiny,
Yeah.
including the parliament of the country, investigative agencies over you, whether your actions are going right or wrong. So it was a huge, complex system. I had to imagine, but I was at the heart of heart not scared.
No.
I said, one sacrifice of life, it can move my organization. It is worth. People don't give life only on the country's borders. As a CEO of large public sector enterprise, it is also you are working for the nation. There's a large superordinate goal to create India's multinational bank. So now coming back, yes, communication has been a darling topic for me all the time, because I will tell you, my own life was changed by a small communication. As I shared with you early in my career, in a branch, when I was very utterly frustrated, out of frustration, I simply wrote a letter to my head of HR, and he replied. There was no convention of replying to an individual. Even today, I wonder how many people reply to letters. Go, 50 years after. His letter was a trigger for me to stay back. I had almost decided to leave the bank. And that act of communication was acknowledgement of existence of an individual in the bank, that we care. And since then, trust to me, there is no communication I have not responded. Since that, because if it can make me so happy, communication can change your life or destroy your life. That is the essence of communication. So communication has been, and therefore in all my work I have reached out to people through listening to their concerns, sharing your concerns, negotiating a way to move ahead. As living organisms, we will always have problems, but we have to find solution, keeping organizational improvement and growth as our vision. In the process of one-to-one relationship, the organization should not get lost. That is systems
Yes.
approach to problem.
systems
And
problem.
I think I got more in return than perhaps I invested.
It is in giving that we receive.
Employees, my experience with employees is like this, that you can, through employment contract, force their presence for 8 hours or 9 hours. But in a service industry or any other, you can't force a smile on his face. There is no contract for a smile. You can't force happiness on his face. For that, the human resource, reaching out, engagement, efforts to reach out to these subtle dimensions of people is the essence of human resource.
Beautiful. I have 6 questions from the Gym of Leadership book.
Yeah.
I love the cover.
Oh,
muscles are made of millions of little strands. And from a physiological point of view, it's not until you work them to the point that they actually snap and bond over onto each other with a little mucus glue that you develop any muscle tone. It's not the hard time that makes us strong. It's hanging on during the hard time that builds that muscle, that character, that dimension. And so to have a culture where when you do make a mistake, you're not thrown out to the street right away, but to have a culture that you're able to risk, knowing that we're all in this together, to have a culture that the team, the esprit de corps is all, it seems like that's what your life has been about, really building muscle, corporate muscle, personal muscle, because this isn't just about your business. This is about
Absolutely.
the essence of who you are yourself.
Absolutely.
So how do you take that same systems approach to a giant organization or into your marriage or into your friendships? And how do you apply both of those things at the same
No, these
level?
things happen automatically. You know what happens when you start driving a car? In the beginning, you apply gear, you apply clutch, you forget something, you do. And once you are a driver, start, you don't even bother how do you apply, it's running because it is in your system.
Okay.
So leadership is something like that. Essentially, the gem of leadership, because I conceptualized in this world, so much has been written and so much sermons, pontifications on leadership. One does not become a leader by reading books. I can't improve my health by reading a book on health. It's as simple as this. In order to improve my health, amongst other things, I need to gym. I need to run. I need to practice. Likewise, in leadership, people need to, for example, a small thing like listening ability. It doesn't come automatically. Most people, including me, we begin with bad listening ability. Everyone wants to talk. In this rushed world, everyone wants to talk, present their point of view. And it's the most difficult thing to listen. And it is also reason of most problems in organizations, including family organizations. Because it is connected with the hierarchical position. If you are hierarchical level, you are not questioned, so you start listening less. If you are a father figure, people don't question. So there is no accountability for listening. So people end up sermonizing and talking. And therefore
ordering.
So this is very difficult. Now how do you develop it? Actually, when I was CEO and chairman of the bank, I will have a daily morning meeting with my executives. And at some stage I realized I'm talking more than, despite the fact that I was conscious that I'm talking more than. So every day I do reflection in the night and say I'm talking more. I started keeping what you call a speaking fast. You know, fast.
Yeah.
So I will determine tomorrow's meeting, 20-minute fast. I will not open my mouth. And something comes, 10 minutes after I will speak and intervene. Because of the rush to pressure of work, something has stopped, something. Then again I will reflect in the night. Most of the time I failed, but I may have improved my listening ability by 20%. It's an arduous, difficult job when you are full of anxieties and problems, but still it helps and helped me. So therefore, it's a gym. Leadership, every small thing is a gym. That's the concept that I brought
I love it.
in this. Because I, as a student of leadership, I have always been learning from people. I'm learning from you, for example, how to interview. And, so everyone has something to give you. But if you think you have all the wisdom because you are a chairman, you are a CEO, that's the starting of a problem.
There's a handful of things. You dedicated this one to your brother Krishna?
Krishna, yeah.
Yeah. What did he give you in life?
Oh my God, he was like my father. He, you see, as I said, we belong to a very modest family background, but he was the one who went in 1964 to England And he encouraged me a lot. I was having, very limited bandwidth for learning, studied in municipal schools, and education was not as smart as these days.
You had a smaller worldview.
A smaller worldview. Those days, Vietnam War was going on.
So, in the foreword of Dare to Lead, there's a very interesting friend of yours who says this is unlike any other business executive CEO book because it's about your inner self and character as well. Tell me about the qualities that make a great CEO, not just a good CEO, but a great CEO.
I have always avoided sermonization, but I believe, based on my own experience, that a great CEO is someone who understands organization as a socio-technical system. That there is a technical system which is performance focused, that becomes performance obsessed at the cost of social system. Then there is a social system of the organization where there are people, there are processes, there are subtle dimensions governing people's mind and people's motivation and this people's side of the organization, despite best intentions of any CEO, does not get into prominence. But I have seen some great CEOs. In fact, I met one yesterday in a private sector, an amazing CEO, so focused on people, values, purpose, ethical dimensions, leadership. I was amazed. And not speaking for myself, in a way, I come from that field, but I was not very technically sound, let me tell you. So I fell back on my human resource and leadership knowledge. And it demonstrated that the intangibles drive tangibles. The intangibles, like building culture, people, leadership development, technology, governance, they are drivers of business. And often great CEOs focus as much on these drivers of business as on the business results itself.
So great CEOs really looking at the core, most important pieces of the system and caring for them first. Back to the gym of leadership, there were 6 different things that I really wanted to ask you about. And the first one is it called the Johari Circle?
Johari window.
Okay, tell me about this one.
Oh, well, that's, every student of organizational behavior is taught that there are 4 quadrants of awareness. One is open, where you know who am I and I know who you are. There is a blind one where I don't know something about myself, but you know. For example, you know that I talk too much, which I may not know.
Okay.
Second quadrant. So, open, blind, and third one is where you don't know who am I, and I also don't know who am I, the most confused part. So these are, I have, used Johari window.
Sure, so where does listening come there for self-awareness?
Open quadrant. That I listen and you get that feeling that there's nothing to hide. And this man is open. If he wants to say something, and that improves personal relationships, that improves human relationship, that I'm not a bully if I'm talking, that I'm not saying something for the sake of saying, that you can trust me. So the open quadrant is for I'm okay, you are okay position.
And you've actually done fasts where you're you're going to not even talk for the first 10 minutes in executive meetings just to listen?
Say it again?
You do a fast. You stop talking and just listen.
Yeah. I made serious effort. Although it's so difficult.
Intentionally.
Yeah, intentionally. I will not talk. But then something happens in the human nature. I entered prematurely. It's like temptation to eat foods. I broke. But then again, I will do. So it's you again and again and again. Not only that, what I did. Towards the end of my tenure, I was getting restless. I thought I am on an aircraft whose fuel is running out and the destination is far. And I was very anxious in the morning meeting. I was coming sometimes heavily on some executives whose performance levels were not. I was never like that. I was restive. The restlessness in me was showing up. Two of my senior colleagues came and whispered in my ear, "Sir, there's something going wrong. People are feeling hurt. You are taking them on rather directly in presence of everyone." Since I have been sensitive to issues of concerning people and very reflective, I am trying to be, through a professor of Indian Institute of Management, I got 360-degree feedback administered on me. And it came. That what most people feel about their chairman, that he's visionary, he's fast, he's this, that. But lately, his temper is getting out of, I shared my 360 feedback with all the general managers. They didn't expect. Now that made some general managers request me that they also want to undergo. Now that's how you change the culture of the organization, when you volunteer tough calls on yourself and share.
It reminds me of, there's a part in this book about anger. Trying to remember.
Emotional regulation and anger management. There's a chapter.
Starting on page 100, it differentiates between a righteous anger on the behalf of the ones who are being wronged and what you call dysfunctional anger. What's the difference?
Some people say anger is anger. I said no. Anger is the greatest trigger for transformation. Mahatma Gandhi was not angry with the prevailing state of inequities. He was
righteous anger.
That was anger. If Rosa Parks was not angry in Alabama, in the bus, when the driver did not give her the front seat, the movement would not have begun. If Nelson Mandela was not angry. So functional anger is for social change, transformation. To be honest with you, when I took over as chairman, I was very upset and angry about the way things have gone in the bank. And that was fuel for development. So I call this as functional anger. The dysfunctional anger is that I lose my head and I yell on people, I insult them, and taking advantage of the power that I hold as CEO, I take on people, and that becomes toxic. That is dysfunctional anger. So therefore, if I say anger is always bad, personally I have not experienced that. Anger has transformed me. Through anger, I have transformed others. It's a very important lever of change.
I remember a psychology professor saying that 90% of anger is motivated by fear.
Yeah.
So if somebody's angry with you, if you can take one step back and say, I wonder what they're afraid of.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the topic of humility. And you write a lot about CEO humility. I think this is on Building Trust and Reputation chapter. Rich Collins in Good to Great talks about the humble leader who's also driven. I mean, they know where they're going to go. They're focused on where they're going to go. But for some reason, their humility doesn't lord it over, but it draws others into that goal, because they're not going to veer to the left or the right, but it's not all about them. How much of
I should, first of all, all these leadership concepts in many ways are elusive. So humility should not be misunderstood as being meek,
okay,
that being a bad leader.
okay,
Humility is not only a behavioral phenomena, which you expect to be humble, that's fine, that you are nice to people, you show courtesy, that alone is not humility. Humility is listening to your viewpoint. Humility is something to say, I don't know, as a boss. Humility is something that you show willingness to learn from your junior. So these are humility. Unfortunately, is taught only in your personal behavior, but a leader's behavior, humility, is his willingness to take responsibility on behalf of others. If things go wrong, a leader can move forward to say, no, I asked him to do this. That leaders take all the responsibility for things going wrong and gives credit to juniors for everything successful. So I've talked of that organizational humility also. But there is a catch in this word humility. You can't run organization by being only humble. Human beings can misunderstand you. I always say, people ask me, what has been your leadership style? In one line, my leadership style, I have practiced tough love. Tough on performance and love for my people, compassion. I will violate all rules. Normally, I am very rule conscious. I'll violate all rules when there is a case of compassion. And that has held, and that made me start a helpline for 40,000 employees, a direct helpline to chairman. In case of life and death problem, they can reach out to me, and in 24 hours guaranteed solution.
wow,
But most important thing, Dr. H, is not solution of the problem, but again process. I should like to share my first reference in chairman's helpline, where one officer wrote that I want a temporary transfer to Delhi because my young son has died in car accident in New York and my family in Delhi is distraught. I could have said, okay, this is a fit case. I was in Hong Kong. I got connected with this officer, talked to him for 20 minutes, even offered to fly him to New York at bank cost if there is anything. He said, no, everything is done. I must rush to Delhi. Accompanied with an officer, I sent him to Delhi. He had requested 3 months transfer. I gave him 3 years transfer.
wow.
Because I know my empathy told me, always in these cases, I put myself into the position that he has 2 young daughters, a wife. This is such a difficult situation of losing a son of 24 years abroad.
Yeah.
They can't come out in 3 months out of it.
No.
As negative news travel fast, positive news also travel fast. And that was the reason of engaged employees, that in case of life and death problem, we can reach to the top without any hassles of hierarchy, hassles of bureaucracy. There is a direct connect. And that's how we created a large family of people.
So the word empathy is the Greek in pain,
Absolutely.
in pathos, and compassion is the Latin equivalent, calm meaning with, passion is suffering.
Yes.
And so if they know, if you know they're hurt,
Yeah.
and they know your heart,
Very
that's
well
a healthy
said.
culture.
Very well said.
That's a healthy culture.
And I was, by temperament, a very, result-oriented executive. Occasionally I came as a very hard-hitting.
Driven.
But then, my empathy and humility of this kind
Yeah.
tempered the whole thing. And at personal level, because when you run a large organization with so much responsibility, there are very natural tendency to push things. But something, my empathy was pulling me back and, keeping me sane.
Keeping you sane. There's in chapter 16 on listening to attend, absorb, and act, you quote a Kurdish proverb: listen 100 times, ponder 1,000 times, speak once. I noticed that because when I was in college, I worked with Kurdish refugees at a camp. And they were taken away. Saddam Hussein was killing them. Iran was killing them. I mean, they were in so much trouble. So they sent their teenagers to USA. And ever since, I've been very interested in the Kurdish culture. I learned how to say one thing: Shuma marde kobe hasta, you are a good man. And I tried to say that over and over and over. Listen 100 times, ponder 1,000 times. Speak once. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And if a leader does that, what happens?
Look here, these have to be our goals, and to remind us the goal, the destination. It may be very difficult, but then instead of listening 100 times, if one listens 10 times, I think you are moving in the right direction.
Okay. And then in chapter 12 on credibility, the word credible is the Latin for this is really the real deal. You're on credit. I trust you. It's all about trust. At a corporate level, why is credibility so important from the top to the bottom in dealing with the customer?
I will tell you, I am bit obsessed with credibility.
Yes.
If somebody asks me what is one leadership quality, and in fact, I've quoted a study by two, Posner and somebody, where internationally in over 100 countries, they have found out one great quality is trust building credibility. If as a leader, they find that he's doing something what he talks every day. If he talks that I believe in discipline, he comes to office every day at 12 because nobody will question him, the credibility is gone. They may not question directly, but the credibility is gone. And I have been very, very fussy with myself about credibility. Very fussy. Two things: time management and credibility. Because how you manage your time. So I used to actually, to put a check on myself, I used to give very funny times for meeting my customers. Because I find everyone has explanation. I got late because there was a traffic. I have this thing where this thing got late. So I say, how don't you get late to catch a flight or to get a train? You work hard to win time.
Oh, you do.
So I used to give time 3:57 in the afternoon. And my secretary mischievously will tell an incoming person, the only time my boss is a nice man, but he loses head, he has some problem when time is broken.
Yes.
It was a part of her skillful management.
Yes.
And that was right. If somebody came late, I was upset.
Yep.
People will come 10 minutes before and wait.
Yep. The metaphor I like is the racehorse at the starting gate.
Yeah.
It's open and you're there. That doesn't mean you come at 1 minute to 9 if you're supposed to be there at 9. And it certainly doesn't mean...
The whole idea is a mental discipline. And second thing is that I was so conscious that my appointments were listed with my secretary with tea, without tea appointment, or tea with you, secretary, in my guest room. Now mine was working. My kitchen, I mean those who supply, it was known to chairman's kitchen that how tea should be supplied in next 3 minutes before the guest comes. Because I was seeing after talking 15 minutes, then say, would you like to have some tea? Then say, okay. And then it's another 15 minutes. So I manage my time in a rather very, very, very what you call engineering way. Precision.
It helps to be an engineer.
Precision.
Precision.
So I learned a few things from my engineering things. Very precision in it, and I maintain till today. For example, I sent him a message today, I'll come between 10:15 to 10:30. And every 10 minutes I was watching my this and that and that. 10:20 I reached here. And so I was happy.
We shot the pre-show just so we knew everything worked.
And my experience, I will tell you, I've gone to studios when they tell 10, they are ready at 11:30. So your studio is very good. And but I did not budget for their laziness.
No.
Never, because these people surprised me today.
Yeah.
He sent me a message, we are all set. So time is so I always used to tell people, so when I used to say, please find some time for learning. Where is the time? We are bugged up with bugs. I said, create 25th hour for learning. Magical 25th hour for learning. This is a dramatic way, and I put it. So when you are in plane, when you are in cars, and I manage my time right from my morning walk, because there were 25 general managers reporting to me, and one of the most critical general managers who was handling credit, he would morning walk with me and explain to me what is in store today coming, what kind of things are there, because I always believe the CEO's greatest resource is only time. And once he has briefed me, it was very easy for me to clear papers. During breakfast, another general managers with huge papers, because we are a controlled organization. Much though you may like to streamline, there are government direction, regulator direction, these things should necessarily be disturbed and seen by you. On breakfast, I have another general manager. When I go 40 minutes in the car, there is another functional head discussing with me. So at the end of the day, I was not under pressure of anything. And I abolished many meetings and had only one 9:30 to 10:30 meeting. And that was largely agenda-less meeting. I am not interested in histograms and this, our performance, the deposits are rising, low-cost deposits are there. The bunkum. These are the things must be done 2 levels below me. My job is architecting the organization, preparing for technology, preparing for leadership. And apart from this wretched business also I will do, but in my own way. But if I take 25 general managers' time on this, so when I return from field and I have a field feedback, that would be discussed there. I'll create coordination between different functions. So I was a chief plumber in the first year. You are cleaning things.
Yes.
How your bureaucracy, you are cleaning, chief plumber. Then carpenter, chiseling the organization. Then slowly architecting, and chief gardener. That finally you are.
Oh, that's the organic one, the gardener.
So organic way. But I always used to tell, sometimes people, for the sake of pretending how great leader they are, they don't talk of difficult decisions of removing bad practices or bad people or whatever. But I always telling them, look, what is the first step of gardening? Weeding out.
That's hard, but it's
That's hard,
necessary.
but you can't grow new things unless you weed out. But our weeding out is not in terms of removing people, but removing bad practices.
Yes. Well, let's go to a very hard question. Why do CEOs fail?
Fail? Well, that's a difficult question. Looks very simple. Or for that matter, why anybody fails?
Sure.
It is, I think, connected with the self-management. Managing oneself. Because with every elevation, I realize, what is it my job is here? I'm not an over-promoted previous person. What my new role demands, so what I should necessarily abandon, leave. If I come from a function and I'm obsessed with that, even in the top position, I end up doing only that. So one is understanding the role very clearly. And what is a role? It is not a job. The role is expectation of different people from your role, from your position. Expectations. What people expect from you? Quick decision making, quick problem solving, policies that can be understood. So I think CEOs fail when they become clerks of works.
Clerks of Works. Is that your next book? It's a great title, Clerks of Works.
Clerks of work.
That's a
when
very
they start behaving clerks of work,
Yeah.
that they are loaded with papers and they are doing the same kind of thing. They are correcting full stop and commas, and then they are giving a lecture to people as the draft you make, and people make drafts, or they make people wait for a long time, or that they can't manage their time. I call them clerks of work, CEOs. CEO must understand they are at the top of pyramid. If they do a small thing in a manner that is not good, it falls from the top. They are the chief culture officers of the organization. They must understand, because whatever great strategies they may make, it is attributed to Peter Drucker, who once seemed to have said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Strategy is nothing without a culture. You may have grand strategy. So therefore, the role of CEO is altogether different. His role is culture creation. That means equal emphasis in the socio-technical framework to social system creation as well as technical system maintenance. And I think they fail when they are not, they can't look at the future. And if they are obsessed with quarterly results.
So the long term.
So therefore, some of them are like atom bombs. Everything is fine. When they go, the bomb explodes. So a good majority of CEOs are very good because system is running. But I'm sure if you are asking me a question, I must answer very straightforwardly.
Two more things. You've been to 90 countries. What do you know about the world today that you couldn't have known 40 years ago?
Oh, lot. You see, ever since my brother went to London, he was sending me picture postcard. The place we stayed, our family background, we could never imagine what is foreign country. And, you know, we have been a colonial state for a long time. For me, London was a dream. And I always wanted to go. And in 72, I went to London.
How old were you?
I was 24 or something.
Okay.
I was fascinated. I was looking at it like that there is a world. You don't see today's India. See, 50 years back, we were really not, in terms of keeping and, So I was fascinated. So I went to Europe, London. My brother took me elsewhere. And then there was a 20 years gap. In 1985, I got an opportunity to be a UNDP consultant to Tanzania.
Wow.
So I went to Tanzania, Nairobi, those kind of. So that craze has developed. And then Bank of Baroda is a huge number of foreign operations. 94, I went to US, Canada. When I became executive director, I was chairman of 4 subsidiaries. When I became chairman, whole world I was global chairman. And then I was also personally post-retirement every year. And I'm crazy. People say, which new country you are going? Like last year, having seen so much Europe, I want to see new country. I went to Slovenia.
Oh, beautiful, isn't it?
I went to Liechtenstein, whether I can pronounce properly.
Tiny little country.
Thank you. I went to 2 more countries in Europe, which I went to this place, Luxembourg. I had not seen.
Yes.
So likewise, 4 I added. Now I've not been to some of the countries in Southeast Asia and all that. I'm visiting now. Okay. It's just like a curiosity of mind. And I think curiosity is the greatest trigger for making you a leader. Curiosity.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Final question. You are a musician.
Oh.
You've actually recorded. I write on the neurology of music, art, dance, theater, and fun. And I look at learning from a molecular level, more oxygen in your brain when you're singing and dancing. From a cellular level, more connections. And of course, a good leader is all about connections and connection. More collaboration when you're doing this. It's just so good so good for the brain. But what does music, and especially performing it and creating it, what does that do to add to your leadership qualities if you're creating on that emotional level with music?
Coming from you, who is an expert, who has done research and work and written a book on the neuroscience of music or whatever, for me, I got from my involvement in music, I conceptualize leadership as a performing art. Leadership is not holding a position. Leadership is not something, a play of power and perquisites. Leadership is a performing art, and like an orchestra player, you have whole audience, and the rhythm is very important in music and in leadership, creating that organizational rhythm where people are experiencing growth and development and transformation together. They may be at different hierarchical level, and yet they are performing, they forget, their identities are merged, they are all equal. That's my concept of music as a performing art and leadership as a performing art.
I think you should write a book called Music or Leadership as a Performing Art. Thank you so much, Dr. Khandelwal.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
been
so
an
much.
honor.
Thank you. My
Namaste,
pleasure.
Guruji.
Namaste.